If you had to guess, how many words in Harry Potter are related to magic? Or how about what percentage of the dialogue in Suits is related to lawyers and depositions? And here's an even bigger question. Can watching a show or reading a specific book really influence your vocabulary when you're learning a language? I went through the words in Harry Potter, Suits, Breaking Bad, and Moby Dick to put these questions to the test. Here's what the data has to say and how you can use it to learn better. If you're like many people learning another language, you may have thought about reading Harry Potter or watching a hit TV series like Suits or Breaking Bad in your target language. And you may have had someone say to you, that'll be a waste of time because your vocabulary will just be focused on wizards and muggles. Or maybe you yourself let these types of thoughts stop you from engaging with your target language using content. When I sorted through the roughly 5,000 words in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, I tagged each word into one of three buckets. Magic, aka witchcraft and wizardry, Hogwarts specific words, and regular English words. There are some words that you might associate with Harry Potter, like platform if we're talking about platform 9 3/4, or alley if we're talking about Diagon Alley, but both of those words individually are just regular English words, so that's the bucket that I put them into. And names don't count here, as nearly every fiction book has characters with funky names, and looking at last year's list of popular names for newborns for muggles, there are a number of outlandish names, one of which is from Harry Potter. And now without further ado, only 1.9% of words in Harry Potter relate to magic or Hogwarts. And that's true if we look at just the individual word list, or if we account for the fact that a lot of these words are repeating across the 77,000 words in the entire book. But you may say, this is a book about teenagers, and I don't care about all those words related to school. If we add the words related to school, that only adds another 1%. So the point here is that at the word level, 97% of what you read in Harry Potter could generalize to any other story and will help you build skills in your target language. All of this is to say that when you're reading or watching a story in a specific genre, most of what you're consuming is the standard meat and potatoes that actually fuels your growth. And words specific to that genre are the proverbial seasoning of that language, making up a very small proportion of what you consume. But you may say, I'm watching Breaking Bad to learn about chemistry, or I'm watching Suits to study for the bar. The subject matter and the story will reinforce the vocab that you're learning, but the story is largely the same at the word level. 96% of the words in Breaking Bad have nothing to do with chemistry and/or substances, and 96% of the words in Suits have nothing to do with lawyers or courtrooms. And then thinking about literature, 94% of Moby Dick has nothing to do with whales, sailing, or the ocean. Again, what this means for language learning is you can just sit back and enjoy the content. If you're understanding what's going on, then you're going to be building your skills, and you don't have to worry about your vocabulary becoming unrecognizably distorted by the subject matter. Plus, looking at the genre-specific words here, most of them are nouns, which in my experience are the easiest to learn when studying a new language. All of this being said, you can use this fact about specificity vocabulary to your advantage in a few ways. Regardless of what genre you're watching or reading in, if you're hooked on the content, you're going to be spending dozens of hours building the fundamentals of your understanding in that language. You reinforce common words, build your intuition, and improve your vocabulary, period. Learning specific words and words that you care about will pay dividends beyond just being able to enjoy content, because you'll be able to recognize them and use them in conversation. For example, if you love baking, can you name all of these appliances and tools in your target language? Or if science is your thing, can you describe the upcoming solar eclipse and the tools that you'd use to observe it? Rather than just being able to play small talk ping pong with native speakers, you're probably going to want to be able to converse in your target language about things that genuinely interest you. Once you get past the nervous excitement of learning to speak the basics of your target language, you'll see that deep, meaningful friendships and connections will show you that your target language is not just something to be watched or read or studied, but something to be experienced. So yes, content based on your interests will reinforce the most common words, but will also teach you words that matter to you, and that's going to keep you learning. Another interesting note is that oftentimes phrases or terms in a specific show or book will teach you things about your target language and its culture. For example, when reading Harry Potter in German, when Voldemort is referred to as he who must not be named, I was learning how the word dürfen is used in different contexts. Since the word roughly translates to may, can, or to be allowed, seeing this word in context was much more helpful than getting some intellectual explanation. And when reading Harry Potter in Hebrew, it was amazing to see the depth of the translation work done by the team. Like when they invented a word for the Council of Magical Law as the Kasam Hedron, a nod to the 2,000-year-old Jewish court system from the times of the Talmud. Both of these are specific things that I found charming and useful, and it meant that I wanted to keep reading. And if this type of content interests you, please do consider subscribing, as tagging 10,000 words across 2 books and 2 TV series was quite the labor of love. Preparing this video, I was really trying to understand why people are afraid of specificity when it comes to vocab. I've been trying to figure out what people are afraid of or what they're trying to warn you about when they say that a book or a show focuses too much on one topic. Are they saying, I want to learn how to speak and these words won't get me there? Or maybe that they don't like the series or topic and they don't want these words bouncing around their head? Or is most of this pushback from people who think that learning a language is about studying and spending time with grammar, rather than building skills and understanding by doing things that you enjoy via comprehensible input? At a certain point, you need specificity when you're learning words in another language. You should view it as a win anytime your understanding, skills, or vocabulary are growing and you're enjoying yourself in your language learning. You can only say that learning about a specific topic in your target language is a waste of time or resources if you plan on giving up soon or if you have some specific goal or test that demands your time and attention. Yes, there's only so much language learning time each day, so any minute you spend on witchcraft and wizardry means that you're not learning about legal systems. And if your vocabulary for chemistry and substances grows, that means you're not going to learn literary whaling words. But in all of those cases, your understanding is still growing. As an addendum to this exploration, there's an interesting pattern that shows up with these specific vocab words in these books and screenplays. In past videos, we've covered the fact that the most common words in any language show up a lot. Like these 25 words account for 1/3 of the Harry Potter book, and the word the is 5% of the book. But if we create buckets for how often a word shows up, we see that there are many, many more words that only show up once in an entire book or an entire series. As I was tediously reading through all of the words in Harry Potter and picking out the ones related to magic, I noticed that they didn't show up very often for very common words or very uncommon words. There is this sweet spot that these genre-specific words were more likely to show up in the 20 to 50 mentions category ranges. But even in those ranges, they still only represent 5 to 10% of words. The reason I find this meaningful is that yes, you will have some specific or difficult words that show up a couple of times over the course of a book, but a solid portion of these genre-specific words that we were worried about show up enough times that you can probably just learn them by watching and reading. So listen to me. The amount of time that you spend with your target language is the key to improving. If there's a book or a TV show that interests you, make sure that you understand it, but just enjoy it. That fear that you're wasting your time with specific vocabulary just isn't backed by data. That's all I've got for this one. See you in the next one.